Welcome everyone. My name is Cristobal. I am Mundolingo manager in Florianopolis, southern Brazil, and this is pilot episode of my podcast. On Mundolingo events in Brazil, we have really a lot of super interesting people, and I'm happy to have few of them today. And in every episode, I would love to have other guests from Mundolingo events. And I believe we will be discussing topics like traveling, living abroad, learning languages, voluntary options around the world, backpacking, making friends, geography, history, slang, which is one of my biggest hobbies, culture differences, tourism, dreams, stereotypes, of course, football, and many others. Before I will let my guests introduce themselves, I would love to share with you one sentence. Are you ready for the sentence?
I guess I'm ready.
Every person is like a tiny sovereign country, a microculture, a world into themselves, and the passport to visiting those territories is conversations. Conversation.
Wow.
Eso.
Yeah. So today I have three different countries. This is Bruno,
Hello.
this is Emily,
Yes.
and Janek. Okay, maybe let's start with the lady.
Oh,
Could you
okay.
introduce yourself to us?
Absolutely. My name is Emily. I'm from the United States, hence the flag up here at the top. I am a digital nomad, which means I've been working remotely and traveling for about 5 years now. So that's a little bit about me. I've bounced all over the world. Did you want me to run through the flags now?
Yes, sure, please.
Okay, cool. So the second flag I have here is of Ecuador because my second language is Spanish. I lived in Ecuador for a little over a year where I picked it up. I had like some basic Spanish classes in high school growing up in the US. But apart from that, I didn't speak too much. So I just sort of threw myself in, picked it up. That was fun. My third flag here is Brazil, where we currently are, because I've spent the last 2 weeks here in Floripa studying Portuguese. So I'm learning still. We're getting there. Then the last flag is for my favorite country that I've traveled to, India. I've taught English there before and have spent probably about a year all up in India. Got lots of crazy stories, and I do speak Toda of Hindi.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Toda is Sanskrit?
Just a little
Is
bit.
Is it Sanskrit?
Yeah,
or
Toda
it's
Toda.
different?
Like I speak a little Hindi.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Of course. Pleasure.
I hope we will come back to stories from Taj Mahal and around.
Oh yeah, Indian weddings, all of it.
Wow.
Yeah, what guys do you see in your eyes first when you think about India? I personally
food.
see
Oh, the
Taj
food.
Mahal.
Traffic.
All valid points.
Okay, let's continue with introduction. Janek?
Sure. I'm Jan, originally from Germany, even though I was born in Sweden. My parents had kind of a hippie phase for 2 years. That's why.
Why we didn't give you the Swedish flag?
I don't really speak any Swedish. Also, limited space.
Zero words? Zero words in Swedish?
I know a few. I know a song. I can sing a song or something. But yeah, I grew up in Germany, but living abroad for over 20 years already. So when I was 23, I went to study in Spain, in Madrid, without speaking any Spanish. It just sounded
Wow.
fun, and figured it out on the way. Lived there for a year, then became kind of an Erasmus tutor back in Germany, and also, this was kind of a. I don't know if you know what Erasmus means. Maybe you can explain it quickly. So in Europe, there's this program where the government pays you pretty much to study abroad.
Nice.
So you don't pay any tuition.
I believe it now. I think it must be some connection with Greek mythology, no? Erasmus or?
Yeah, there was Erasmus from Rotterdam, but
Okay. So it's other thing.
but it's really like an abbreviation for something that I don't remember right now. But it's a government sponsorship kind of. We
Yeah.
don't pay any tuition. They pay the flight and they give you a little bit of money. So pretty much, you're better off studying abroad than staying at home. It's cheaper. And so I did that, and it was great. And I went back to Germany, and then did another master's in Barcelona. 2 masters actually in artificial intelligence back in 2008. and then I liked it so much that I never returned.
And I see Argentinian flag. Yeah? You spent some time in Argentina?
Just very little. It's just we were out of Spanish flags. That's why I have.
Yeah,
and it's
that's true.
yesterday Argentina won the Copa America, so also.
Yeah,
for that reason.
football will be one of major topics here. I
So
feel.
subject to the flag right behind you.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, I guess so much to talk about it. I'm 20 years abroad now, but then I lived 12 years in Barcelona. I never really planned to make it that long, but.
And you speak Catalan?
So yeah, I picked up una mica di Catalan. I can understand it very well actually, and I'm a little bit out of practice. And yeah, and then for 4 years, 4.5 now in Brazil, and also like I did in Spain, I just picked up Portuguese here, just drinking caipirinhas and talking to people and doing a bit of Duolingo, and also language meetups like Mundoling and others were helpful.
Nice.
Awesome.
Bruno?
I'm Bruno. I've met Chris like 3 weeks ago in Mundolingo. I'm from the UK, Oxford. I've been in Brazil for a year. I arrived in Rio firstly, and then I went to Sao Paulo. Now I'm here in Floripa, and I met all you wonderful people. Before I lived on and off in Amsterdam, which is, I don't know what it's at the bottom. I've traveled to some of these countries, did a few road trips.
Pakistan?
This is Pakistan, yeah. I was in Pakistan 2 years ago, so I learned a bit Urdu, which is similar to Hindi.
Nice.
So that was an interesting experience as well, with like food and
I'm sure.
weddings and
Yeah.
all of that. It was amazing, like organized chaos on the streets, which I'm very fond to. Yeah, I'm also half Brazilian, so I can speak Portuguese. I love Mexican TV series and movies, so that's where I learned my Spanish from, and music too. I'm also a digital nomad. I've been working remotely for 5 years. In the first 2 years of my working remotely, I actually lived in #van life. So
Heyo.
I still have a van back in the UK, and I miss it. I'm trying to bring it down to South America so I can travel South America.
How long you lived in the van?
Like a year and a half. Yeah,
Wow.
working completely like in the van, like tethering off my phone. Sometimes I have to stop meetings and like, do something to the phone to try and get better signal or something like that, but everybody understood, it was fine. And then in the last couple of years, I've just been living off Airbnbs and hostels, just like traveling and working, and yeah, so great to be here. Great to have this conversation with you.
Nice. Okay, I will walk you through my flags. I am from Poland, of course. Yeah, I was born in Lublin. I'm speaking English, I guess. Fairly decent. Most of my life I was playing online poker, so like English was a part of my work, let's say. I'm still playing a bit, but not as much as before. I was living in Buenos Aires in Argentina for 100 days. I am a huge football fan, and this is a capital of football. Yeah, I'm still a bit, I think maybe London can be considered as well as a capital of football, but I think that Buenos Aires is a bit more intensive about that. When I was in high school, I learned German a lot, and I even worked as a voluntary in circus in Germany, in Rostock, in your country, Janek. And now I am here in Brazil since I think close to 200 days. I'm counting every.
So you count the
I'm
days.
counting days in all my.
That's intense.
Amazing.
Yeah. I just have it like, for example, today I took like 415 cold shower in a row.
Whoa.
Unbroken streak.
Just today.
Today, 415. Yeah.
Wow.
So, as we discussed a bit before, as a subject of the first episode, yeah, when you are guys coming to the new country, yeah, what are your moves to kind of dive deep into the culture, make some friends, and yeah, in general. So you are going now from Floripa, you are going to Europe, yeah?
Yes, I'll be headed to Europe in the next week. So that's going to be a very different change of pace and lifestyle. I've been in South America all of this year, so it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'll land in Madrid and yeah, just taking off, new country, new language. I think one of the first moves I usually make is, well, when I decide where to stay, that sort of dictates what my social life will look like. So I'm going to stay in a hostel, I think, for my first week.
How much time you plan to stay in Spain?
In Spain, I'm not quite sure, actually. I don't really have many plans. The only plan I have for Europe is that by the end of August, I have to be in North Italy because I'll be teaching English at a school there, like a private language school. So yeah, I'm diving right in and just gonna see how I end up in Italy. But I'll be staying in hostels along the way to make friends.
To be honest, I was always super jealous to people who speak native English, because I think you have so many opportunities around the world
Yeah.
just because of your English.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned volunteer opportunities. I've noticed that I am certified to teach English, but more than that, people prioritize that I'm a native English speaker. So I've been really fortunate to find a lot of volunteer jobs easily by just, hey, I speak English, I'm from the US. Cool, come teach with us. We'll give you a free place to stay. We might pay you, we might feed you.
Wow.
Like it's great.
Yeah, it's super skill, I think. Like, you are just born with the skill that can
Transferable.
like you can live very decent life everywhere around the world.
I will say, however, the con to that is it can make one very lazy to learning new languages because it's often not necessary when English is the common language among people. So I've had to be very intentional to say, even here in Floripa, a lot of people speak English, but I'm trying to learn Portuguese. So when I go to a restaurant and I'm struggling through the menu and the waitress asks, oh, do you want me to speak English instead? I have to say, no, I'm trying to practice. And usually people respect that and understand, but...
Bruno, have you ever considered a career like this? Like
I have.
going to China, for example? Or
Yeah, I'd love to. I've actually done that when I arrived in Brazil because I came here with no plans to. So I left my job in London and I just arrived in Brazil. I was like, well, what can I do? Well, I can speak English. So I went to like the local, like they've got like these British style schools here, like specifically like British language and grammar and stuff. So I went there. I was like, hey guys, I don't have any prior experience teaching, but I'd love to give it a go. And they trained me and stuff. It's really nice in Sao Paulo. And
yeah, I believe even in Pakistan, for example.
yeah, well, actually, they have a very good standard for English over there. They learn it very young
India
age.
as well.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I think in London is like a huge amount of people from Pakistan.
For sure. Yeah, because of Commonwealth, like back in the day and all that stuff. But yeah.
And are there countries where German language is like super attractive like you know what I mean? Like, because many people around the world, everywhere in Asian countries, people want to learn English, like everywhere. And I believe German is also like one of the most attractive to learn.
I have the impression that it's becoming more popular recently. I have people approach me that are not even from here. What I have to say, we're right now here in southern Brazil. There's a lot of German immigration, and there's a lot of families that came here 3, 4, 5 generations, and they still have some kind of ties to the culture, and speak a little bit of German, and a lot of them actually are super curious about learning a bit more. With my German flag here in the Monolingo meetup on last Wednesday, I had several people approach me that actually had a very good German level, all learned here. So yeah, here in southern Brazil, I see a lot of interest in it, and also at Monolingo, I met people from other countries that are curious about German. I don't know why really, but no, to be honest, I do like the language. If you're into philosophy and if you're also there are more reasons to like German, and appreciate more after leaving.
Yeah, I love that thing about Brazil. I saw it in the comments on YouTube and some video, that Brazil is a country where 3 continents collide, like South America, Europe, and Africa. And it's like, what I wanted to say, because this year it will be like 200 years when like the first Germans came here in 1824, actually very close from here, Blumenau. So yeah, like I believe that history of Brazil is like super connected to the history of Germany, of course. For example, they say these cities like Porto Alegre, like all the south, like Rio Grande do Sul is like most of the people have, grandparents and
well, don't they have like the largest Oktoberfest outside of Germany here in Brazil?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I want to go
maybe
to
here
it.
No, I haven't been, but I've heard a lot of people tell me about it. It's supposed to be a really big deal. And so to me, that sounds so odd. Like in Brazil, really, of all places?
You guys ever visited Oktoberfest? I guess
in Munich?
No.
Never? You've never been to Oktoberfest?
Not to the big one in Munich, but I've been to smaller ones. I'm from close to Hamburg, so they have also Oktoberfest, but it's not what you kind of envision. Like if you think of the Bavarian one, it's more like a kermis, I call it, or like a, with roller coasters and these kind of things.
Okay.
Where I'm from. but yeah, but I visited a few of these German villages here, and it's amazing. Like you meet people who speak German. You have really good German food. You have this old, how you call these kind of houses that
Chalets?
Fachwerkhaus in German, but they
Yeah, the little like
the
cottage
wooden-
style. Yeah.
forget the name. It's typical
Sure.
German ones. And then if you go south of Santa Catarina or Rio Grande do Sul, you actually hear Brazilian music with the German instruments and with German rhythm. It's very
Oh,
it's
wow.
really funny. Like
Crazy.
yeah, with the tubas and the posaunas and the accordions, and they speak in they sing in Portuguese, but it sounds otherwise very close
Awesome.
to German music.
That's one thing about Brazil. It's very multicultural, isn't it?
Very.
Like you have there's a certain states you have like a lot of influence from Europe, but then
Mhm.
some states a lot of influence from influence from like African culture, food, music, and all that stuff. And then I think there's a lot of like half Japanese, half
That's what I
Brazilian
was
people.
gonna say. One of the things
Yeah,
that has surprised
me
me
too.
most is the Japanese
Yeah.
population here. I didn't know that before I came here.
Yeah, before when I was living in Buenos Aires, they have like every week, but there's a lot of events like, for example, Japanese people in Buenos Aires, yeah, Colombianos in
Right.
Buenos Aires, Alemanos in Buenos Aires. And I was like accidentally in Buenos Aires, I visited Japanese people in Buenos Aires, and it is called the Nikkei. Nikkei, you heard about that expression? Like Nikkei is like I think it's the third generation Japanese people living Japanese outside of the Japan. And I learned there that in Brazil is like 2 million Japanese people
Wow.
living in Brazil. And look, for example, small European countries, like for example, I don't know, but I believe like in Norway is like 5 million citizens, something like that. So imagine like 5 million Norway people and just 2 million Japanese people living in Brazil, yeah, like
Yeah.
40% of Norway.
Yeah.
Wow.
The sushi is good here, I gotta say.
Oh, it's amazing. The best sushi I've ever had in my life was in Sao Paulo. It's
Hmm.
incredible.
You guys been to Japan?
I would love to go. I haven't.
Not yet.
But you will be now very close. No, you were close when you were in India, yeah?
I've traveled to a lot of countries throughout Asia, yeah, but there's certain ones that I'm saving. Japan is one I'm saving. I don't want to like be on a backpacker's budget in Japan, so.
I see.
Yeah, I had the pleasure to visit Japan for like 12 days or 14,
Wow.
and yeah, it was super expensive.
Yeah.
yeah, it is super expensive. But I love this. The one thing. Yeah. It actually, to be honest, Japan for me was like the only one time in my life when I felt myself like I'm on a different planet. Like it is super colorful, and yeah, I love this manga thing,
Sure.
and yeah, this culture is super unique. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you can't meet. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can, but
And like that's an interesting one, Japan. Like, what would you do? Like, what did you do when you first arrived in Japan? Like, what was the first thing you did to sort of mingle, meet people, and I don't know, come up with your own plans?
yeah, but it's totally different experience when you come somewhere for 12 days and when
Sure.
you plan to stay like half a year. Yeah?
That's a
True.
really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 12
true.
days you can't dive into
Yeah.
yeah. That's why this World Packers is a great opportunity. You've been to World Packers somewhere?
Yeah, well, I used Workaway, which
yeah.
is kind of a similar concept.
You guys
yeah.
know familiar with World Packers and Workaway?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Could you tell us? a
Of
bit
course,
about-
yeah. They're both sites where you create a profile and then find volunteer opportunities. So a lot of them, well, for some people, it means working outside. If you're
But
someone,
where you volunteered?
Where did I volunteer? Oh, I've mostly done it as an English teacher, and I've worked in hostels. When I started traveling and working remotely, like you, I was living out of like my car. Not quite van life, more like Toyota Corolla life, which is a bit difficult, a bit restrictive. But I used that to drive all over the United States,
Wow.
and I worked in hostels. So I found all my hostels through Workaway. It's like a volunteer thing where they give me free accommodation in exchange for a certain amount of volunteer hours. And then outside of the US, internationally, I've done that as an English teacher. So I taught English in a village in Cambodia about a year and a half ago, which was really
Oh.
intense.
Your face says it was a bit tricky.
It
How
was
is
a
it?
bit tricky. It was very different. It was a village in Cambodia, you know, a bit disorganized. The kids were not very disciplined. So that was an interesting one for me because I'm used to.
But you had no respect? I mean,
Yeah,
no
well, I would
authority,
say
or-
a lot of the kids I've taught before in the past have been online, mostly from countries like China or Japan, where there's a lot of discipline and, you know, the parents are in the back watching the whole time, making sure that they don't mess anything up. Whereas this in Cambodia was just a free-for-all. We were like running around the village. I'm chasing kids and pulling them out from under their chairs. And it was very physical and like hands-on. So a lot of the exercises I had to improvise were like, okay guys, we're gonna dance. Everyone stand up and we're dancing and let all of your energy out, stuff like that. So a very different way of teaching English. Now I'm going to do another opportunity in Italy. The job I found was through Workaway, and I'll be teaching teenagers and adults. So I'm looking forward to that. Should be less chaotic.
A bit more structure.
Yeah, I would think so.
But teaching language, I believe, requires some patience and I think
teaching as a whole, right?
You
Like-
want to start teaching as well now.
So
Portuguese,
I'm starting to teach right now here in an institute in Sao Paulo remotely, but I actually have like a background in advertising and design, so it's kind of cool because I teach them design and also English at the same time.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it's two in one, yeah.
What do you think, guys, are important skills for being a language teacher?
Oh man,
I think you need to you have to meditate before the classes, no?
Yeah, you have to go in with like a really good headspace. No, it really depends on the culture and like the background that you're teaching to, the age demographic. There's a lot of factors playing into it. But for me personally, I think one of the biggest things is about with language, it can be such a thing that makes people embarrassed and shy. You know, when people speak Portuguese and I have to dig into my Portuguese brain, I get nervous and like, oh, you know, what if I say something stupid? So I think a lot of teaching language is about creating an environment where people feel comfortable to share. So games and like laughter and conversation and like building good relationships with your students so that they're not afraid to mess up. To me, I would say that's one of the key things.
That's great advice.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Absolutely. I was going to say empathy, and obviously, you know,
Yeah.
you got to be empathetic of someone. Like you can tell when we don't feel comfortable to try. So I would say, look, say it anyway. Say it however you say it, because the most important thing is for you to practice, really.
Right. Well,
Right.
that's one of the biggest things I've learned, like studying and teaching language, is that it's not necessarily about being correct. It's just about getting something out there and being understood. That's all
Right,
language is.
communication,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I had a lot of reflections like this with this kind of how important in learning languages is like you're in general energy, yeah. Like because you can really be bad at some language, but if you know some basic words, you have some hands to you are good with some kind of gesticulation.
Yeah, hand
You-
gestures.
yeah, you can
and
really say a lot.
charades.
I
Yeah,
have a quick
yeah.
story about that in Slovakia because like I did a road trip through Europe, so from Oxford all the way to Slovakia, and then I didn't speak a word of Slovak, right? And like I stayed with a family in this very rural area, so nobody spoke a word of English, and yet we had an amazing time. We cooked together, we played cards together, and I just remember this because I was like learning the numbers and stuff. I could do the basics, you know, just be like good morning, thank you, all this
Yeah.
stuff, just to sort of mingle and integrate. But then we were playing this card game, and I could only remember like one number, which is like 4. I think it's Stidi. And like I was like, okay, and they're like, okay, what cards have you got? I guess that's what they said because it was in Slovak, and it was like Stidi, and then it was like minus. You know, I was having to do like math with my hand because
Yeah,
that's the only
exactly.
number I could
You need to
learn.
be super creative when you are
Yeah.
when you are
So-
skilled, kind of.
But I find that some of my favorite interactions while traveling have been with limited language.
Right.
Because everyone's working so hard to understand each other. It brings out this real wholesomeness.
Totally.
Also in India, I stayed at a village, and like we said, India, Pakistan, they speak great English for the most part. But if you get to some remote areas, and that's where you'll find some issues. So I stayed in a village and like stayed with a family who didn't speak any English, and so I had to break out my real rusty, broken Hindi. But even just sitting there and exchanging the most basic information made us so happy because we were able to communicate to each other at all. And it was so much fun. We were laughing and playing with the babies and the kids and just wholesome. It's very
Amazing.
wholesome. So I
Yeah.
love those moments.
Incredible.
Yeah.
How about you, Jan? Like you said, you went to Spain for the first time without any Spanish whatsoever. Like, how was it for you? Like the first sort of experience, like picking it up and.
Yeah. So I think what a lot of people who never actually traveled by themselves abroad underestimate is how open a lot of people are just to, you know, and how patient also they are. They're
Yeah.
super excited. Wow, you're from the other part of the world. Like, they're just like, they have, you know, they're really curious about it. And they, you know, they will communicate with you with legs and hands and with feeding you. Like, yeah.
Definitely food, yeah.
I had many good experiences like that. Brazil is another one. I did a road trip by myself in the north of Brazil without speaking any Portuguese back then, and I did a little bit of Duolingo.
You are here since three and a half?
5 years
Ah,
now,
five.
but this is now over 10 years ago. It was just my first. I started to dance this Brazilian dance. It's called forró back in Barcelona already.
Oh wow.
First time I heard the music, I
Yeah,
fell in love
follow is
with it.
great. Follow is great.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm a German, you know. It's like I dance like a robot most of the time. For me, it was like also like just the whole setting was very
It's quite
intimidating for me.
close and personal, isn't it, with
Yeah.
who you're dancing with? Like,
Yeah, I had to make a point because I went to this place many times and never danced. And it's okay, you have to dance once, you know. Anyways, I had to really overcome myself, but it always went well.
Good.
And I got curious, and that's why I did this trip to northern Brazil. That's for who is coming from,
Wow.
right? And I did a little bit of Duolingo.
Which part of
before.
Brazil is exactly Forlo is coming?
Ceará mostly, but also there are like closely related ones in Bahia and all.
You
the
guys know
ones
Forlo? Forlo?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Forlo because it's like when I was living in Argentina, I was dancing tango. And it was for me like every classes I came, I felt like I'm starting from zero. And 1 month ago, I'm coming again, I'm starting from zero. My great friend took me for this milonga, which is like party for, yeah, wow, I recommend everyone milonga. It's amazing experience. I felt every time like in the movie on this milongas. Anyways, I'm coming to milonga, and again I was trying to dance, and again I'm feeling like zero. I can dance. And I went to the Forlo party here in Florianopolis, and the first class of Forlo, I felt like I was already dancing at this
Amazing.
Forlo.
Hey.
Yeah, so this Forlo is like super great, and I'm super interested it's like north close to Bahia, Salvador, or
Yeah, but so really Ceará is the main route, but they have like versions of it are like they're slightly different all over the region.
and it's super simple dance, and it's
Well, there are levels to it, I guess, but it's not so, you know, it has like in Barcelona, they actually is very technical. They do a lot of like spinning and you know, it's not so easy to start. But if you go to Ceará, you know, they're just like going left, right. So
That was actually the first night out I went here in Floripa. Like I went to like some traditional like underground like Brazilian dance place in the
Ooh.
center. It was amazing. And then they had like, I guess it was for her because there's a lot of people dancing closely together, and there was like different levels. Like people like dancing really closely like this, and then some people like spinning people around and stuff. And
sounds like Forlo.
yeah, it was awesome. It was really cool.
So I actually had to unlearn a lot about forró because I learned it to being like a very technical thing. And then here in Brazil, I learned it's not about that at all. It's about feeling it, and if you vibe and you just keep left, right with nothing, you know, the girl will be super happy as well.
Oh, wow.
And it's not considered to be like not knowing how to dance. It's the opposite. Like rather keep it simple.
Yeah.
So that's something that took me some time to unlearn a little
Good
bit.
to know.
But just to say, so I did this road trip with a very little bit of Portuguese only, and then you know I just ended up in this weird like small village called Paracuru. It was like it happened to be like a
Which
street
estado?
party.
Estado?
Ceará, in Ceará,
Estado Serra?
Ceará.
Because as on flag, Brazil has I think 24 estados,
No idea.
something like that. It's
I don't know.
yeah.
Do you guys know?
Yeah, he stood for it.
2024.
Fact
Yeah,
check
because
for
I
the
never
crew.
heard Serra. I never heard about state Serra.
Ceará. I don't say it well. How do you say it? Ceará.
It's like north of the Brazil.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, because I believe in places like this northern part, smaller. Because even lately I saw some map of Brazil from the U.S. perspective,
Oh god.
and it was like Rio de Janeiro and Amazonia and Amazon.
yeah.
Like jungle, football.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't rely on
Exactly.
any American geography of anything.
Exactly, and I believe that in these smaller places, less famous, let's say like Serra, like it's very difficult to meet somebody who speaks English.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah.
Exactly. Fortaleza is the capital. Maybe you've heard of that.
Ah,
right?
yeah.
But I ended up in this super random, remote little village with this like
Why'd you
street
go
party.
there?
Why? It was on the way to Jericoacoara. I was kite surfing, so that was my goal. And and GPS wasn't working, and I just tried to find some kind of place to sleep, and that's how I ended up there. And there, I had some caipirinhas, and I found this guy who was the most patient person ever. Like he was. I couldn't really communicate, but we were for 3 hours just like talking. Turns out he was this guy who's living in different, like working in different ports. He had all of the patience. At some point, I just spoke Portuguese. Like I think like 2.5 hours in or something. I just like, I was like talking to him and it's like,
The
wait,
drinks help
am I
too.
speaking-
I was about to say, every great story starts, I had some caipirinhas and I met some locals.
Yeah, but it's just like, that's how I really like to learn a language, because you don't only learn about the language, you learn about the culture and
Sure.
in the same time, right?
So get smashed and it'll be fine.
It helps.
No alcoholic advice here. I'm not trying to get anybody to be. Yeah.
I have a theory around that, you know.
Okay.
Whatever language you want to learn, that's the alcohol you have to consume. If you want to learn French, you learn wine,
you
drink
sort of
wine.
embody the spirit of the language. Like,
Ooh.
If-
That's
if
good
you-
advice, actually. It's solid.
Interesting, yeah.
Scientifically proven.
What would be the German one in Hamburg? Jägermeister? Or?
No,
Beer, of course.
beer,
Oh,
of
okay.
course.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, my
Here.
Spanish is perfect after a shot of tequila, I swear.
What about US? Would it be bourbon or?
Yeah, maybe some whiskey or something. Yeah.
Sweet.
I won't, yeah, unfortunately, in Poland, it would be vodka, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, vodka, beer, bourbon, and I think here is cachaça. Cachaça.
Cachaça, yeah, Brazilian. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Caipirinha, I guess, good way.
Yeah, but caipirinha is part of cachaça, no?
Or it's
Yeah.
basically just cachaça, I think.
Yeah.
With like some ice,
Lime.
sugar, and then lime, I think. Yeah. I used to work in a bar. I used to make cachaças in Oxford, and like people were like, they used to do it wrong. They used to do it wrong because like if you like try and squeeze the lemon from the back, it becomes sour. So then you have to put the lemon, like you know, the inside of the lemon up, and then that's when you sort of.
And
Squeeze it.
when you were in Pakistan, because
No alcohol.
Pakistan is an Islamic country, yeah?
Yeah. However,
Th- there is no
they
alcohol?
find a way.
However,
They
there's always a
find-
however.
When there's a will, there's a way.
There is no alcohol in
Continental hotels, that's where
Ah.
it's allowed. Yeah, because it's like a religious thing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I also spoke to the locals there, and like I was like, you know, like some people, because I went on a business trip, but it kind of became like a work holiday because I stayed there for a month. It was amazing.
Islamabad, maybe?
No, it was in Lahore, which is in Kashmir. So it's actually very like similar to India
Yeah,
in
I
a
can
way.
imagine.
Yeah, like the food, like even like the accent of Urdu is very similar to Punjab.
Oh, cool.
Like
Yeah,
Hindi.
I believe this part of the is like you know the countries are fighting for each
Yeah,
kind
for
of,
like 20 years, but it's like nothing really happens. They just like throw some stuff across the border. And
The
then
border
nobody
closing
gets hurt.
ceremony between India and Pakistan. Did you go to that?
I didn't.
To be fair, it's got to be one of the weirdest things I've ever seen while
Wow.
traveling. Every single night when they close that border between like where Amritsar is in India and Pakistan, they have a big ceremony. And
Every single night?
Every single night there's a ceremony, and like they sell tickets and it becomes this big thing. At least I went when I was in Amritsar. The Indian side is packed out like a stadium, and everyone's got their Indian flags, faces painted. It's real nationalistic and intense. And the Pakistani side, because there's less tourists, there's not as much of like a show going on their side. But yeah, they've got the army comes out, these soldiers come out, they do dances and chants and play
together?
music. And well, the border's in the middle, so India does one thing, and then Pakistan will do another in response. And they go back and forth, back and
Wow,
forth.
They're so healthy.
Yeah.
We're talking about two countries that have been in conflict for like 20,
Yeah,
30
yeah.
years.
It's their way of like
Take notes, guys. Take notes.
being able to like bridge some sort of
But what's
event,
wow.
you
what's
know?
the purpose of it?
The purpose is just to say goodnight and close the border. I think it was originally intended to
But
help like build relations.
Does it have a name?
Yeah.
This
The just border closing ceremony.
event?
It's so weird. And as a foreigner, I was given
border closing ceremony.
yeah between India and
I'm gonna look this
Pakistan.
up.
It's
Guys,
so
do you
interesting.
think we can see something on YouTube here now nowadays?
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's so bizarre.
Wow.
And yeah, as a foreigner, you get kind
Since
of treated like a
it's
VIP.
a pilot
Yeah.
episode, maybe we can just make an experiment and try to find on YouTube now it or
Yeah, like 13 and then
Yeah.
yeah,
so
you could try maybe. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
super interesting for
Yeah.
border
I
closing
can't imagine
ceremony.
even
Was
it.
in Cash.
Border closing
Ceremony.
ceremony.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
India
Pakistan.
and Pakistan.
Because I heard
Wow.
that those countries those countries are kind of very intense, yeah, like
Yeah, but the thing is, look, so this event is to help everyone become friends and like be more comfortable with each other. And inevitably, it kind of has the opposite effect because it's like everyone on the India side is cheering pro-India and vice versa.
I see.
So it kind of creates a bit more division in my personal opinion. That was my takeaway.
It's like
But,
it's like throwing a pie between Manchester City, my team, and Manchester United. Let's get them together. Let's them put them all. It's not going to go well, like, you know. Let's put differences
say
aside.
good night to
Yeah.
each other.
But yeah, they do this every night.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the outfits are crazy.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
They
sounds
look
like
a bit
a
like
official-
pirates, yeah? Wow, I believe those
think
guys
that's,
spend a lot of time on the gym.
Incredible. I can see there's some.
So
fun-
so you
Wait, this is
been
the India
exactly
side or
in
the
around
Pakistan side?
this
I
thing?
went to the ceremony. I was on the Indian side
This
though.
is the Pakistan side, I think.
Yeah, this is the
The
Pakistan side.
flags.
So this is your side,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the other is.
But see, look, the face
Yeah.
paint. It's a whole event.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the border.
And
That's
this
the
is
border.
Wow, this happens every day.
Every single day.
So those are the two countries.
So yeah, that's India. That's Pakistan.
Wow.
They've got the gate shut now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the
Oh
India
my
side.
God.
Look how packed out that is.
This is serious shit. Wow.
It's almost like.
Do you know some martial arts from India or from Pakistan?
No idea.
I do not. I got some dance moves though.
A bit like Bollywood.
It's almost
It's so
like
theatrical. It's
It-
so theatrical.
there is a little bit of intimidation. I can see.
Yeah.
Like, who stamps
Oh.
the hardest. Oh, the handshake. Nice.
Yeah. but to be honest, I'm completely shocked that this happens every day.
Yeah. Wait, every day? Did you say?
Every day.
No way.
Yeah.
And then it's sold out every day too.
That what?
It's sold out, it looks like.
So for foreigners, at least on the India side, you rock up and they've got a special section right by
Well,
the border.
You
It's a
paid
special
for
part
that?
There is.
What's there? What's different to the?
You're next to the border, so you just
Oh.
you get the like
you paid
close-up
for
views.
that?
Yeah, you have to pay. I don't remember how much, but yeah.
Wow.
Is that just one border crossing or are there several that are like that?
No, this is the main one right here.
This is so healthy.
Wow. This, yeah.
They even do audience participation where they like get people to come down and do big dances together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there like food and?
Oh yeah, you go outside and there's all kinds of vendors and
And I believe. Oh.
This is like
Wow.
very extravagant. Oh, they're throwing.
This is the
guns
most
as well.
interesting thing I have seen since.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm going there.
Yeah.
This is last episode of Floripa podcast.
This is the last episode. I'm actually booking a flight right now.
Yeah.
How's this called, this main crossing?
Incredible.
Wow.
I'm sure it has a name, but
Super cool.
just the border closing ceremony is how everyone calls it.
Awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, that part of the world is really fascinating for me.
Yeah, it's easy the
Yeah.
most different culture I've
Well,
ever
you talk
experienced,
about like feeling like you're on another planet. That's
Yeah.
why I love India so much, is because I get there, I walk out of the airport and think, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, where do I even begin right now? But
think
I love it.
even at the airport for me, like I arrived in like Lahore airport and like that's kind of a business.
Lahore is the second biggest Pakistani city.
Yeah, but I'd say it's the biggest like business center of Pakistan. Like when you go to Islamabad, it's not nearly as busy as Lahore for that. Like
Okay.
nearly as busy. So when you arrive at the airport, like, you've got the immigrations and all that stuff, customs, and like I'm English, I'm used to like queuing, and like
Oh,
when
yeah.
when you arrive there is no rule. Like then this is within the airport, like you've got security and all this stuff, right? But you like I'm queuing like I don't know, I'm 4 people like behind the to get through immigration, and then all of a sudden like this next plane or like lands, and then like all these people come, and they literally like just go in front of you. Like no one's like shuffle, they're not sort of hitting you or anything like that, but it becomes very intense because like, you get all of a sudden
Yeah.
you're crowded and like
Claustrophobic.
yeah,
and-
absolutely. And the person behind the counter, like he's just like normal, like this is just normal, And then like there's like one place to get. Oh, Pakistan is very interesting actually because it's a closed currency, so you cannot buy Pakistani rupees outside of Pakistan.
Oh,
And
Closed
okay.
currency.
Closed currency, yeah. So you can't buy it outside of Pakistan, and you can't take legally. You cannot take like Pakistani rupees out of Pakistan.
Wow, first time even I heard this kind of term.
It's very strange.
You guys
'cause,
know
like,
about?
No, I'd never
you
heard of
have
that
about
either.
closed currency. So like I went all over UK to try and find like
Closed
some
currency.
Yeah, closed currency.
Wow.
And there's like just one person selling like exchange, and you don't know how much you're gonna get. So I'm
Right.
like, I handed over like a couple of $100 or something, and like the guy looked at me, looked at the money, and I was like, okay. And then he took the money, and then he turned around like to the safe behind him, and he just like started putting like blocks of cash like in front of me, and I'm like, how am I gonna carry this? I'm gonna leave the airport with like sacks of money. People are gonna think I like robbed the place.
But there's like hyperinflation, like in Argentina.
yeah, massive.
When I was receiving in Argentina, for example,
Oh, that was weird.
$200.
Well, like the
200 bucks,
whole-
I felt like some gangster,
Like
you know.
The
Really
whole
bad,
underground thing, like exchanging money in
Right.
Argentina is that's another weird travel experience. Some
Yeah.
guy like taking me to like an abandoned shopping mall, like down the stairs, you go behind this blacked out doors. Like that was
And
so
were
weird.
you, during that kind of transaction, were you scammed or it
No,
was okay?
no, I was fine.
I was doing that kind of transaction like you like 3 times, and each time I was scammed, you know.
way.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you got a little bit less than you expected.
Yeah. Not.
Oh
yeah,
no, I was
yeah.
bargaining hard. I was getting the deals that I wanted.
But did you counted the money
yeah.
immediately?
Yeah.
Yeah. Once I received like like everywhere were thousand, and the next banknotes were like hundreds instead of thousands. You know?
Oh, they got you.
Yeah. So like I received like 30% less
No
than I
way.
suppose.
Wait, what I want to know though is Pakistani rupees. Are they rupees? You
Yeah.
said. Did you sneak any out? Did you take any home?
I don't think I should say this on camera. Let's say I wasn't aware of the.
Don't tell it because next month I will be.
I can't return to Pakistan now. But yeah, and also a place you have to bargain all the time. Like Uber in Pakistan, it might have been the same in India.
Oh.
Like you've got the app, like the Uber app, but then you get like a tuk-tuk, like the
Yeah.
the tricycle thing, like, and then there's just no rules because they will turn around, they do a U-turn in the middle of a like 5-lane road, and they'll go like against traffic. I'm like, yeah, this is fine, but like, so you call an Uber and they arrive there,
There's
and
Uber in.
yeah, but like a tuk-tuk, like in one of those tricycle
but
things.
Uber nowadays is everywhere.
Everywhere, even
Yeah.
in
In
Pakistan.
Islamabad, Lahore.
Yeah, and it's a very strict country, like with like information, lots of things as well. But like you have to bargain, like so they arrive there, a bit like how the guy today, like picking you up, like
Yeah.
to come here. So they will drive all the way up to you and say, where are you going? I like this place. Oh no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, 500 rupees, 600 rupees, now 1,000 rupees. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I remember that about Indian Uber as well, that the drivers would rock up and then be like, are you paying cash? I said, no, I only pay you through the app. Never mind, not interested. And they would just drive off.
Wow.
Because they would
So
rather
what did
make
you do,
all of
like-
it cash in hand. Oh, I just kept calling Ubers till one of them would let me pay through the app.
And a lot of them drive off, like.
Yeah, they just
immediately.
leave. They would rather not make, that little bit through the app and make less than get all of it cash in hand.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting, because some cultures are becoming very like digital, like payment reliant, right? And some countries still use cash a lot.
Well, you know what's interesting about India is they're very digital, like money oriented. Almost everything you can pay for with a QR code.
Wow.
And so you go to a restaurant, they give you the bill, you scan the QR code and
Wow.
pay on your phone. But it only works if you're an Indian national and have an Indian bank account. So that's where the issue comes into play.
It's a bit like the Brazilian Pix, I think. That's QRs as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
But you can pay cash as well, yeah?
Yeah, of course. There's still a lot of cash. Like,
Yeah, in Brazil actually, it's like I think like 95% people pays with cash, with card.
Oh,
with
card,
I was gonna say.
Yeah, like not many people use
Yeah,
it.
I don't know if the listeners here know that, but in Brazil you can really pay everything with your card or even with a contactless, right?
Wow.
Remember once I was with my car staying at a traffic light, and a guy was selling oranges, like at the traffic light. And then I told him, "Hey, man, I don't have cash." Oh, he just had his card machine with him, like, and it was red, right? That turf was like, okay, give me some oranges. Okay, chuk, contactless, paid.
Easy.
It got green, and I was just like,
Wow.
whoa, what just happened?
Sitting there with your bag of oranges.
Yeah.
It's like, I think Brazil is probably the
Wow.
most advanced country.
Yeah,
in the world. Yeah.
out of all the places I've been to, I would say Brazil is one of the easiest for getting by without any cash.
Wow.
Yeah, they've really got that nailed.
I came back here from the US in December. my wallet is still where I put it. Like I have not paid anything in cash.
So maybe soon we will experience, like for example, people who are playing instruments on the streets, they will be receiving crypto.
Maybe, yeah.
Crypto
Moving on to that, yeah.
Yeah, but just with your phone, or if you have an Apple Watch or something, you can just like everywhere and just pay like that.
Wow, it's safer as well. You're not carrying cash on you, right? But then I struggle because if like your phone gets stolen, like that's your life, that's your
everything.
Uber, that's your money, like. So I always like, this is a little travel tip, guys. Here we go. So I've been to some questionable places in my time and amazing places, but you also kind of have to prepare for the unknown. So I always like hide money somewhere just as a backup. And I also keep like spare documentation. Like I never carry my passport with me. I just always leave it at the hotel, whatever. And like, because you never know if you lose your phone.
By the way, when you are traveling, you are you have like screenshots, paper screenshots of your passport.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
take
of
photos of
course.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to what you do, I've also got like a spare shitty phone,
Nice.
just in case.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that I heard that it's super common in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, that people
And
usually,
Rio, yeah.
usually like it's a super common that people have two phones
The
with
mother's
them.
phone and your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one is for robbery. Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like it's a countermeasure, right? Because like I've not had I've not had any problems whatsoever. But it's also like if you lose it, sometimes you're having a good time, you get drunk, you lose your phone. Like that can happen. It's not just getting your phone stolen. And then again, you can quite quickly with another phone download the same apps and
Exactly.
like delete anything and.
But you
block
have two
cards.
different numbers. Two different numbers.
So I actually use an international eSIM and I pay with crypto. And then you can use it anywhere in the world, and I don't have any limitations. It doesn't expire, because what really gets under my skin is like you put up credit, like you top up with some credit, and then like, oh, you haven't used it for 3 months, because sometimes you go to a country and you just buy a SIM card and then you won't ever use it again.
Yeah.
Like I've got a stack of them at home, and I'm like, why can't it just be like a digital one and you just use it like whenever? So yeah, it's called silent.link if you're looking into it.
Linked in the show notes.
Link in the description, guys.
Silent.notes.
Silent.link. Yeah, it's international. And they give you like all the prices. I don't work for them. They're like completely anonymous. So, because I'm a digital nomad, so I try to embrace the nomad aspect of that. So
While you were living in your van, you traveled across the UK or
mainly
Europe?
UK. Yeah, Europe I did
Slovakia?
with my old car. With my car I did Europe. But with the van, it's kind of an old van, so I have to like, do some mechanical adjustments to be able to.
Yeah, I think it's a very nice lifestyle.
Oh, I love it. I actually miss it because my van actually has like a shower and a kitchen. It's like you can stand in
nice.
it. It's a big one, like the sort of Amazon vans.
It's
like
not a
delivery vans.
Toyota Corolla.
No, it's not.
I think-
How did you do that? Did you like put the seats down, like put a bed in it?
I tried not to sleep in it, like
Oh,
if
I
I
see.
didn't
How
have
much
to.
costs a van like this? Yeah, I know it's like the question is, like, I mean, you have, I guess you have vans from like 10K bucks and from 1 million bucks, yeah? But I mean, what is like a
Well, I built mine.
decent
so-
affordable price?
He probably knows better than I do.
Well, it depends on the country, right? So I bought mine from I think it was $5,000.
Yeah,
And
because
then,
I really believe that those kind of lifestyle, like living in a van, living in the boat,
well, you save so much money, especially
now
'cause-
it will become super popular.
Oh, it already
I
is.
think
Yeah.
it's already booming, but in next years,
Yeah.
I believe like it will be super common.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a famous Polish couple. I love to watch their videos on YouTube. They are traveling with whole family on the boat,
Wow. Yeah.
like a couple with 2 sons, and they are traveling on their catamaran and
Wow.
everywhere.
I saw a family like that on Instagram back during the pandemic, and like when the pandemic really hit and like the countries were sort of shutting doors and stuff, they were like, well, right now we're in the Bahamas, so we're just gonna stay here because they had their boat sort of parked there. And I'm like, wow, like,
Oops.
what a terrible shame, have to stay in the Bahamas for the next 6 to 12 months, gosh. So yeah, it sounds amazing, man.
Yes, we've seen it like this weekend or last week. SpaceX released a new Starlink, which is like a portable format.
Yeah,
It's like
I want that for my van.
the size of an iPad. And
Yeah.
you get
Oh
like
wow.
100
Yeah.
plus Mbits anywhere.
Wow.
Like on some mountain somewhere in
Oh,
some
man.
remote forest. There in Spain, for example, there's so many remote villages that are abandoned, right? Because
Wow.
like the young people that went to the big cities, and
Yeah.
so there's like villages
It's like in Italy, like
villages where nobody lives right now.
they like even selling houses for like €1 or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
to try and get people back in.
I think that's going to happen a lot more as well, like,
Mm.
because now it doesn't really matter where you are anymore. You
Right.
just can live somewhere in
Exactly.
the countryside and you have top internet.
Yeah.
and
But
just with your friends.
the Starlink works. Yeah, I am a bit also fluent with informatics and stuff. But Starlink, for example, works good when you are on the ocean. Like, do you know this place Pitcairn? Pitcairn, do you know? I think Pitcairn is like the most isolated place on the planet, like small island on the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
And I wonder if, for example, nowadays you can have Starlink access on the Pitcairn.
I don't know if that point especially, but maybe everywhere but there.
Okay, if you're interested, you can go to www. No, they'll have a map. They have a coverage map, and then you can see. Because I think when it first got released, like I remember it was like the Northern Hemisphere. So if you're in America, obviously northern parts of Europe and UK, you could be the trial thing. But now we've got it in Brazil and places. So like I know someone setting up a company here for that. And it's good because like it's global, right? It's universal, so you can have the same device and take it anywhere. So like that's the sort of thing. It's like our phones, right?
Which is cool because I think the thing that holds a lot of digital nomads create hubs because it's like this is a place where it's easy to work remote.
Right.
And so once you eliminate like internet access, it dictates so much of my traveling.
Sure.
If I can have internet access anywhere, I'll go anywhere.
Super
I'll go
remote.
to like remote areas in the
Yeah.
mountains or whatever, you
Yeah.
know? So it's interesting to see where that'll take us.
Right.
About the digital nomad hubs, have you ever lived in some co-living space?
I have temporarily. Actually, in India, there was a really good co-working space that I lived in the mountains.
Selena is
Wow.
super popular.
Selena's like a classic. If I'm traveling around and I really need to like get shit done, I'll book a few nights in a Selena because I know they'll have a solid co-working
Yeah,
office.
I heard they have amazing
Yeah.
locations. Like here in Floripa is like.
Yeah.
Selena.
Socially though, they're not as social as like a typical backpacker hostel. So yeah, I go to Selena's when I really need to focus.
You ever been to Selena, Janek?
Yeah, but quite a lot. I've been last year Cancun, Medellin, a few others.
1 hour? 50. Okay, I think let's keep 1 hour for. Yeah, I enjoying a lot
Okay.
Me
talking
too.
with you.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, and this is guys question for you because originally I had idea for 40 minutes long podcast, and we will see. So we should already I think finished like 10 minutes ago, but I enjoy a lot. So the pilot episode will be 1 hour.
We can also
Great
chop it
success.
up like we said. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the world is changing in generally, and I think that all this traveling on the boats, traveling on the vans, co-living hubs. Yeah, I think people are now because. What do you think? When this trend of digital nomad, you can't work online since 20 years, yeah? It's like you can work online since now it's booming after pandemic, yeah?
It
Yeah.
helps, yeah. I think people have been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
those
but-
who could, but I think
Yeah.
now it's becoming more.
I was working remotely before the pandemic,
There
but
you
it
go.
was much more difficult. Like I was teaching English, and so even then it was harder to find co-working spaces. I would work in hostels and
but
have to like
you-
isolate
you were
myself
not
in a
the
room.
digital nomad back then, yeah?
Yeah,
You
I
were
was
like,
I was like broke living out of my car teaching English online and getting free accommodation in hostels.
Awesome.
So call that what you want.
That's
but
a success.
but
You've
post
achieved the
pandemic
goal, so
exactly.
doesn't matter.
Post pandemic everything is so much easier.
Wow.
It's like okay, here's a job and we don't care where you
Yeah.
are. You don't have to like sit in the corner of your hostel and hope it's quiet enough to give an English class. Like just do your work at your own pace when you feel like it.
Yeah.
And that's so liberating.
There's a lot more leniency now.
Exactly.
Like before, it's like, wait a minute, you haven't got a steady internet connection. Like you're not professional.
Wait, you're not working 9 to 5?
Yeah, you're not in an office right now. But now you see
Exactly.
people walking behind you. Like I'm constantly at the mall here, just like having meetings. Like and people like this week, somebody just walked past behind me, and I was having like a client meeting, and people just like waving and stuff.
That's life.
Yeah,
I
it's
think people
nice.
have accepted
But,
that's
I'm not self-conscious about it anymore. It's
exactly. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I actually started nomading pretty much in 2003. So I'm actually
wow.
over 20 years now.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, but
Pioneer.
it just so happened because I had this job before I started to study, and they kind of wanted to. I really wanted to study abroad, and we say, well, or I do that, or I'm going to leave the company, kind of, and they, we kind of talked about it, right? The thing is, what people underestimate sometimes, if you work remotely, it's not that you just at the beach and work less, and actually you have to work more, in
Yeah.
my experience, because you cannot even let people think that you are just in the hammock. You kind of have to fight that, especially in the beginning, right? So, but yeah, that worked out for me very well, and then it's been really pretty much since then.
Amazing.
And like I didn't find it hard. Like I feel there were like what does it make it easier for you to do that lifestyle right now? Partially because you have information, right?
Of course.
You can follow blogs or whatever. You have places to connect to internet. You have hostels, but all of these things, they existed back then. Like people don't really consider that. I found reports of the Erasmus students, and once you talk a little bit to people, internet you could find back then already, like in a university, in a library.
It was like LAN houses back in the day. I remember playing like video games with people. Like there'll be these cafes with lots of computers. You could go there to do your studies or whatever, but now like not so much, because like every cafe, like normal coffee shops will have like internet access. So you just see like random people sitting on the corner and just like, oh, they're clearly working. Like,
Yeah.
But back then you'd have to find somewhere specific, because not every establishment would have a good Wi-Fi connection. In fact, I think Wi-Fi was kind of uncommon back then. Maybe, I'm not sure. It's more like wired, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you had to take more caution.
Sure.
Prepare more.
Definitely couldn't have it with your phone, right? It's like G connection. It wasn't even 3G. It was just G. So
Yeah, I think super important topic as well is like that nowadays with these work packers and this work away, like you can. I mean, a lot of people think that traveling is super expensive, yeah, and they can't afford it. And of course, when you want to travel, in like super expensive hostels and like visiting Wimbledon games, like I heard like yesterday was a Wimbledon final, and the cheapest ticket was like 10,300
Oh
pounds.
my god.
yeah.
So yeah, if somebody want to travel like this, it's expensive. But with this work away and work packers, you can really live for free in everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically getting 6 weeks paid for in Italy. Like,
Wow.
And for example, you have many opportunities, like because you are an English teacher, yeah. So I believe in this case you could also earn pretty decent money as a teacher. But you can also work as creating video content for hostels. You can just clean the common spaces.
yeah,
in the
there's so many
hostels.
opportunities.
You can work as a receptionist.
Reception.
Yeah.
Like I said, people who like outdoors, there's a lot of like farming and manual labor and stuff like that, construction sort of type jobs. I mean, basically anything you could think to do, there's an opportunity to do for free somewhere. So
Something for everyone.
yeah.
I forgot the name. Maybe you know. I had a friend who was traveling and teaching language online. So you kind of have you travel all the time, but you have your constant kind of pupils or kind of students.
Yeah.
You have just to find certain times during the week. Good internet, and in one week you do the class from Italy, and then another one you do it from Spain, which is also good because you have a little more continuity.
Yeah,
Right?
consistency.
And, I don't know if you know the name. There are a few of these.
There's a few
platforms.
different sites and platforms out there like that.
Yeah, link in the show notes.
And what's your recommendation for someone who's going to start out right now, like teaching English on these platforms? Like, how would you build out your profile? How do you build out the profile, and how do you get students? Like,
So to be
How much
honest,
time
in
we
my
have left?
opinion, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So to get started teaching English, I think the best thing you could possibly do is volunteer to get experience, because I mean, there are so many native English speakers out there. If you come with experience, then you're so much like you're put so much further ahead as a priority for the job, but also
Wow, that's great.
it gives you
Great advice.
experience as well. So
Yeah.
like I started out teaching English as a volunteer with refugees in the United States.
wow.
Yeah, and so like immigrants that were coming in on special visas from Afghanistan like needed teachers to go into their homes, and because they didn't have transportation and like all these things. So yeah, I would teach English to a lot of moms, and it was so cute. They would serve me tea and I would give them lessons, and that's how I started, because I was gaining experience. I felt like I was contributing to some good, and then in return on my resume it looked pretty good.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say volunteering, and also using any of these websites like Workaway. There's so many volunteer gigs out there. Do it to get the experience, and then that'll set you up to actually get paid to do it or do it
Brilliant.
online. So
Great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Would you agree with that? Anything
Absolutely,
to add?
Yeah. I haven't done it yet. I'm actually asking for myself.
Oh
because,
yeah,
like,
volunteer.
yeah, I want to like pick up some experience with that, and not just be like
Uh-huh.
pretend I know how to teach. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
so-
the other thing that's really helpful is finding a conversation partner. So if there's a language that you also want to learn, and you befriend someone who speaks that language, and you can exchange that,
And
you
come
know.
to Mundolingo.
Hey,
There we
Mundolingo.
go.
Well, exactly. What better way to
Perfect.
meet someone? So if I wanted to learn Portuguese and I met a Brazilian who wanted to practice their English, we would say, okay, well,
Exchange.
twice a week we're gonna meet and do 30 minutes English, 30 minutes Portuguese. Boom. Then you're getting some experience as well,
Excellent.
and also learning
and
something
helping each
yourself.
other, right? So it's like
Yeah.
Yeah, how does Mundolingo actually work? Did we explain that properly?
No, Mundolingo works like you just come, you pin the flags of the languages you speak.
Where'd you find
So
it?
it's an event, right? It's a
Yeah.
weekly event.
Yeah, it's a weekly event in I think 18 cities around the world at the moment, and you just come and you can make new friends, and everyone is super friendly. Those are people from Mundolingo, and yeah.
So you find it on apps like Meetup, and where else could you find out about it? Like if you're going to a different city.
I think mostly on hostels.
Okay.
I make a promotion here in Florianopolis around hostels, and yeah, a bit of Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
And some online promotion like Instagram and yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad I met you guys there.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So I think we are finishing the like yeah. I don't know. You know, guys. I'm really my mind is super consumed by Game of Thrones. Like I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones.
So specific.
Yeah, I am like psycho fan of Game of Thrones.
I did not
And,
expect
and now
that.
No, me neither.
now it came to my
Are
mind.
we in
like,
the right podcast? Oh, yeah.
now I came to my mind this idea. Any last words?
Ah.
And last words they always say it before the execution. You know, like Ned Stark takes his huge sword. And yeah, so it sounded like like
No one's getting
side
executed,
funny, but
right?
yeah. Any last words?
That wasn't
Any
part of the
last words?
contract.
Maybe just something that I wanted to say as a tip. I agree with all of these things that you said, like you do hostels. It's a great way to start traveling. I wanted to also encourage you, after doing a little bit of the hostel life, to there's nomading, and there's a new trend of slow madding. It's called, where people don't really jump every 2 weeks from place to place, but they go maybe stay longer time, 3 months,
Slow
6
mad,
months.
slow mad.
I like
I never
that.
heard about that.
That's good.
And it's
Yeah.
and if you ever do that, I think it comes very natural,
But
because you will learn.
You are 5 years here, so it's still slow madding.
Yeah, you will learn that sometimes after some time you probably realize that the conversations that you have in hostels are very similar. It doesn't matter where you are, right? So what I encourage people, but I think it comes natural as well. Try to stay in a place a bit longer, and if you're confident, try to by yourself integrate yourself into the local culture. And what I wanted to recommend there is, first, of course, you need to learn the basics of the language, but once you get there, start a local sport, like join a local sports team. That's been for me the game changer every time I went. I used to play beach volleyball in Barcelona. Here I do Alcinia. I recommend that, like Alta. It's like a football kind of game. They're great. Or dance forró. Find something that is local, right? And try to.
This foro is really
Awesome.
great to recommend. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree.
Hiking
Great
groups,
advice, yeah,
hiking
yeah.
groups as well have been really
Yeah.
good.
I've
I
been
don't
to
play
a football team.
sports so much, but I found that I love being outdoors and hiking. So like local
Yeah,
meetups
there
for
is such a
Yeah,
huge
sure.
diversity of all the activities.
Yeah.
So yeah.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
advice.
it will be a huge upgrade to any
Yeah.
kind of experience. So I just want to encourage people to.
No, that's
to
good
try it.
advice.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so
Great.
thank you very much,
Yeah.
guys,
Awesome.
for
Thanks
having
for
you.
having me, yeah.
It was first and the last episode because next week I am the police officer in Pakistan. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Till next time.
See you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Cut.